You've been in this one.
Rice has done this to me. Rice used to do this to me. I'm trying. But when somebody's excited about it, they were great. Say hi to everybody.
Okay, board members, let's get reassembled. Okay, we are moving on to item 3.7, the Umoja update. We're delighted to have this presentation. Chancellor.
Yes, thank you, Board President Stellano. As always, it's wonderful to be able to invite and hear from members of our community college community that are doing tremendous work in supporting our students, and so it gives me great pleasure to turn this over to Vice Chancellor Walker and talk about a program that's doing exactly just that, and talk about some of the individuals that are doing exactly just that. So, Vice Chancellor Walker.
President Estolano, Vice President Epstein, board members, and Chancellor Oakley. Today's presentation is about Umoja, but before we even start to talk, we want to show you something.
I think that what makes our program unique is our students. They are the heartbeat of what we do. They're hungry, they're looking, they're concerned, and so we are there to provide the roadmap for them.
The purpose of Ritual is to bring communities together.
It provides this African American and African diaspora component and identity component, which I find very enriching and makes it very different from other programs. Umoja actually trains the student. You don't really have programs that provide services and then have that self-identity, learning about our culture and being part of the community in that way.
I see this with a lot of Umoja instructors. Their affective attachment to the students and desire for those students to succeed is exponential.
And so the goal is always to give them as much information as they can, to map out a path out of any situation, into any situation, to create opportunity for them. We have some resources. Maybe it's just a little talk, or maybe it's actually a formal service that you actually need.
On campuses where Umoja is thriving, Umoja started to become a power base for the Black community on that campus. It has structure, it has support, it has success behind it.
Every student I've spoken to, I get the same level of energy and pride and excitement. It really says a lot about the program itself and what message they're putting out there.
And when you provide that type of atmosphere, students start to open up, they start to believe in you, and they can go anywhere they want.
So this program began in 2006, I believe, 2007. And as a former college administrator, every fall my colleagues in Umoja came to the Student Services Office and said, where's our money? Because we need a contribution to help make this work. So we started with a very few number of students, or a few number of programs with contributions from colleges. And the Chancellor's Office in the last 2 years, under our Student Success and Equity money, have been able to support their work. And without me going any further, I think you should hear from the real experts of Umoja, so they'll tell you who they are and what they're doing.
Good morning. My name is DeCarla Asagai, and I'm the new executive director. I don't know how new I am. I've been on board since April, so I think I can stop saying I'm new now. I think we can establish that. And so I'd like to thank the board and the Chancellor for inviting Umoja to present and share a little bit about our program. It's always a special opportunity for us to be in front of the board to give you just a little taste of Umoja. We don't have much time today, so we're going to move rather quickly, but hopefully it's informative. You'll see in front of you, you have folders where we provided some general information about our program. We're not going to go through that information today because of time's sake, but we will go ahead and start our presentation, our PowerPoint. Pardon me. Okay, just a little bit of who we are. First of all, our name means unity. It's a Swahili word that really is the foundation of who we are. We don't do anything on our own. We do everything together. And so just like here, we support our students together, we grow together, we work together, and we build together. And so that's a foundation of our philosophy of how we approach our work. Organizationally speaking, because of your generous contribution and grant funding that support, we're able to establish the foundation and provide services that we haven't been able to provide previously. For instance, we have a headquarters office here in Sacramento, and Chaffey College is our fiscal agent, but statewide we have players in different parts and regions. We have 2 assistant directors, one representing the Northern California, he's here today, and one in Southern California. And we have the great opportunity of having 6 regional coordinators who serve as boots on the ground. So boots on the ground, they're meeting with our campuses, site visits, meeting with administrators, working with students and faculty. And it's a really nice approach that we haven't had in the past, and it really helps strengthen our program and align our program to make sure that we're all kind of doing the same thing and supporting the programs where they need to be supported. And looking at our growth, to date, we have 43 California community colleges, 1 CSU, and 1 out-of-state community college. We serve about 4,500 active students. That does not count the students we call touches. At first glance, Umoja looks like a first-year experience program, but we're a little bit more than that, because we say once an Umoja student, always an Umoja student. And so we will support students all the way through and shepherd them through from to transfer all the way through. So with that, just telling you a little bit more about our students. About 85% of our students are African American. A lot of our students come from low-performing high schools across the state, low income. Their test scores their test scores would indicate that they're not college ready, and they're most vulnerable to be knocked out of college due to life circumstances. So Umoja takes a holistic approach. We're more than an academic program. We really try to address the spiritual, the cultural, and the social component of the student. And so that's a philosophy that I think is really one of our strengths.
Okay. Good morning. My name's Tom DeWitt. I'm an assistant director in Northern California. I've presented to you since 2008. I don't want to scare any of you. When we went up in 2008, they said, "Oh, you have 3 to 5 minutes," and I'm like, "Okay, we'll talk fast." Well, we were an information item back then, and an hour and 20 minutes later, we were still sitting up here. We had been moved to an action item.
We will not be here an hour and 20 minutes.
Yes, I get it. And we were actually at that point, this is in 2008, you guys officially recognized us as a student success program. So that was a wonderful year. So we've been presenting to you and supported by you and partnering with you as well as the Foundation for California Community College since that point. So I want to point us to this slide. We have Umoja practices there in your folder. We have 18 practices. The practices are very well known in our Umoja program. They're mostly pedagogical practices, teaching strategies, counseling strategies, culturally relevant ways of thinking about our students. We have at this point trained over 1,000 faculty in the state of California in these practices. So at many colleges in the state, you can go and they're very quickly recognizable and on the tongue of many faculty out there. We most recently had the good fortune of having an adjunct faculty specific professional development training in San Diego, where we got to share these practices, and that was a hit. And you guys supported that, by the way. That funding was an augmentation that came from your office to specifically offer that kind of training for adjunct, and hopefully we'll be able to do that again in the future. It was very, very empowering. Our core components that students have to follow are triple SP to a T. We were triple SP before triple SP existed. It's the orientation. We have our own orientation. It's the mandatory counseling. We take that a step further. We do very intrusive real-time counseling, all-day counseling, anytime counseling, get out of your office counseling. That's what we do. We're very real-time. We require everybody to fill out financial aid papers. Every one of our students in the state has an SEP, and we've been doing that for a long time. In fact, we were in some of the early conversations around forming the triple SP language. Most of our schools have learning community models, not all. They're, unlike Puente, which is certainly a partner to us and has been an inspiration, our schools are very different one to the other. Some of them have, my school offers 10 different courses. Another school might offer 2 courses in their learning community. My learning community is 2 years long. Some schools' learning community is 1 year long. The school I teach at Chabot, we've had our program for 29 years, and I've been in it 28. We offer very comprehensive professional development. We have a mandatory summer learning institute if you're going to be an affiliated school. So for example, for next year, we have 23 prospective schools that want to be part of the Umoja community. We have not recruited them. They have recruited us. That's one of the criteria is you have to outreach. And then they're going to go through an assessment, a readiness process. So we don't just say yes. They have to go through a series of steps to see if they have the support on campus, if they're sitting on solid ground to launch a program. Well, part of that affiliation process is that they have to go to a summer learning institute. It's a week-long commitment. It's a very big commitment in the summer. We work 16-hour days there. We also have a big professional conference every year. This year was over 1,000 attendees. At that conference, about 700 of those attendees were our students. We also have regional symposia. We have Umoja Days. We just had one at Cal just a couple weeks ago, right before the break. We had one at UC San Diego. Before that, we had another one at Cal State Bakersfield. And that's where we partner with the whole community and regionally bring students on these transfer campuses to help them get a taste. Many of my students live 2 miles from Cal, and they've never been there. And they wouldn't even dream of going there. And until we bring them there that day and they're welcomed, they're not thinking about going there. But after that day, oh man, I'm going to Cal. I'm going, So our transfer partnerships, which have been very much supported by your office, include MOU with UCOP, signed with Janet Napolitano last spring. That has really taken off. They've given us a point person in the UC Office of the President. He's been incredible. In fact, Vince Stewart, who used to work here, his wife is one of our, we have 2 point people. His wife is the other one. We're partnering with the HBCU initiative that comes out of this office. Our longtime Umoja person, Elaine Moore, was the first leader of that initiative. A lot of energy is put into the HBCU transfer possibilities for our students. We've had many, many tours, many caravans, the HBCUs are a big presence at our conference. So that's been a wonderful, eye-opening thing for our students. I think besides that, professional development-wise, our regional structure, we meet regionally. So we have the whole state. It's a huge state, as you all know. And yet we have regional coordinators, so they'll do regional events to share best practices, to get together, to ask strategic questions about surviving in their institution or thriving in their institution, things like that. So that's ongoing. All right, you want to do that one?
So in terms of our strategic plan, we started discussions early last year, and we developed a high-level strategic plan, and we had the draft presented to the Chancellor's office in the summer. Since then, we've really drilled down and developed a more robust strategic plan that is currently under review with our board, and we hope to have that passed in the next couple of weeks at their next meeting. And we'll certainly have that document for your view as well. So we're anxious to share that with you all. And just so you know, it's just a 2-year academic cycle. So we've already started 16, 17. We're already in that phase, but it goes through 17, 18 as well. And then we'll be building with each on a 6-month basis, building it out. So, and we'll be in complete communication with the Chancellor's office. So we look forward to sharing that.
Okay, so you have in your packet a little one-pager that shows a little bit of our success and retention. This was done with just 3 of our schools and their IR offices. And you'll see there that, I'll just walk you through it very quickly, that over 3/4 of our schools have accelerated practices. We've coached many of those schools and trained them ourselves. We've partnered with acceleration initiatives from Baltimore to CAP to AIC to get acceleration started at these schools. And we encourage it. It's one of our Umoja practices. In basic English and basic math, we have double digits higher success rates, 10 and 12% respectively, in those areas. And if you combine that with an accelerated approach, not only are they achieving at 10 and 12% higher in these institutions, they're also accelerating their progress toward transfer courses, which is that's the whole deal. If you can get students on that transfer platform successfully, you have a lot of chance of the whole dream being achieved. We have student persistence. Our students persist at 20% higher rate from one semester to the next. And as you know, if you don't as a statistician, anytime in education where you're doing double digits, you're doing really, really well. And also the last one, and this is very important, is that in Umoja community programs, these 4,500 students, they take twice as many transferable units as their counterparts. That means their progress towards their academic dream and goal is twice as fast, even just on the course taking patterns. So that's some of our success data. Very quickly, the fourth bullet there, a new database and outside evaluators. You all provided us with an augmentation grant, and here's why you did, in case you're not familiar with it, is we've been trying to get and working with your office for many years, with Myrna, with Patrick Perry originally, to get comprehensive apples to apples data for Umoja programs. And it's been a challenge. Your office has worked with us diligently. Your Vice Chancellor of MIS is working with us literally right this minute. I talked to her yesterday. And the Special Pops database, we helped inspire that, the existence of that. Unfortunately, all the reporting isn't there, and all the database isn't all constructed yet to be able to give us that apples to apples data. Well, your office recognized that and augmented us we have to have the data. We have to be able to look at our students statewide and learn from that and also show it. So you provided that funding. We hired 2 outside organizations. One's the Institute for Social Research at Sac State, and the other is Candia, which is creating a very deep, integrated with SARS, et cetera, database for us going forward. And the hope is that these 2 outside organizations help really just do, over the next couple years, a handoff back to the Chancellor's office with what they were able to construct. That's the goal, not to use outside sources forever, but to just use them to help build us up to that moment. So that's where we're at with that.
So in October, Umoja had an opportunity to speak on a panel with Chancellor Oakley, and we'd like to think he's our lucky charm because out of that engagement, we met the California Wellness Foundation, and we had the opportunity to apply for a grant that they were offering, and Umoja was awarded that grant. And so it's a $250,000 grant over the course of 3 years. It's split into 3 years, and it's to focus on underrepresented minorities to encourage increased, as the previous speaker shared, increased minorities in the health profession. So this is a great opportunity for our students. It allows us to expand on services that we're already providing. So we look forward to sharing more about that program and the reach that we're gaining with that work.
I want to mention one more thing on growth. Because of the equity funding that our first 7 years, we were volunteers in this. Most of you know that, which was fine. You get a lot of heart when you volunteer. I mean, you're there for the right reason, certainly. Since we've received funding from the Chancellor's office through the equity monies, we've been able to, by next year, we'll have doubled the number of schools from 29 to over 60. That's absolutely massive. We have also dramatically expanded our relationships with the transfer institutions. We're diligently talking with the CSU system now to get the same kind of agreement, not exactly the same language, but a parallel type of transfer agreement with them. So that, thank you, is what I'm saying. Thank you very much. The need is there. The desire is there from the schools. The next big frontier is the high schools. And it's in our strategic plan. We absolutely have to start in a very serious way, allying with our high school partners, and we look forward to that moment.
So next you'll notice this narrative. I'm not going to read the narrative, but I'd like you to take a look at it and take a moment to read some of the backgrounds of our special Umoja alum. These are individuals who are Umoja students. They transferred, and guess what? They came back to the community college, and they are employees of the California community college system, and they work with Umoja. This is just a sample of some of the individuals who are committed to not only the community college, but this work here in Umoja. And they speak very passionately about their efforts, and they really believe in the program. We have dedicated people throughout the state, and it's quite incredible and impressive. So it's also nice you hear about our programs from us, but it's better to hear from our students. So we have the honor today of 2 students who are with us today, and I'll have them introduce themselves and also in the campuses that they're from, and share a little bit about their experience, because there are things that data sometimes can't express, numbers can't express. It's a lived experience that you just have to connect with, and I hope that you're able to do so today. So please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Imani Sosa. I go to Chabot. My major is psychology, but being in Umoja, I've earned a home outside of home. I've been able to come into my own leadership skills that I didn't know I had. I learned so many things being in the program about myself, about others, just using different practices. For example, the ethics of love. Having teachers and counselors and people that are in my community that actually are able to testify and tell me I've been through this A, B, and C, but I still made it somewhere. And seeing that has given me some type of insight and made me realize that, okay, although they went through this and I'm going through something, I'm able to connect with others and go somewhere as well. And so by doing that, I'm able to communicate this with my younger siblings and let them know that they have a place to go when they do transfer to colleges. Look for this program because you will be able to go farther. You make different connections. Some of my teachers have become some of my best friends. I call them when I'm sad, when I'm happy, when I'm excited, because I want them to know that they have helped me to this next level and I'm able to find a home within inside of them and the program. And without that, I probably would have had a problem from just being a student straight out of high school that didn't really know where to go, what to do. I didn't have any help. But I joined Daraja, which is just another branch of Umoja, and I was able to get everything that I needed, support, classes, love, and everything. And so I definitely thank them for that.
Hello and good morning. My name is Kenneth Cooley. I'm a veteran of the United States Army, and I'm part of the CRC school district that is part of the Los Rios school district. And my major at CRC is chemical dependency studies. Yes, for which I am going to attain an AS and then transfer in the next spring to Sac State. I started at CRC in the Umoja program and the DIOP program in 2013. And I was so in love with all the insight that I gained about all the culture here in America and abroad. I found myself sharing knowledge I gained, studying with fellow DIOP students. I was sharing that knowledge everywhere, at home, everywhere. It was so fascinating that I was so fascinated with the program that I became vice president of the club, and then the next year I became president of the DIOP Scholars Club. Being the president of this club, it feels like I've achieved something really great for me. It feels like it's a lifetime achievement. The spring of 2016, I suffered an emotional loss. A good friend of mine passed unexpectedly, and I took a year off. So I came back. I decided that I was still attached to the school. I was still reaching out to my advisor, to the program. Even though I wasn't able to concentrate in class, I felt that because I had DIOP program, the DIOP club to talk to, and the advisors and the students, that gave me a release for some of the emotions that I was suffering. I was suffering the Great Depression from that loss. And I got so strong again that I was talking to my high school son about this program. And when he graduated high school and came to CRC, he inquired about the Umoja program and the DIOP Scholars, and he joined. And we were going on doing presentations, and one year we had a presentation, and he was part of the presentation. And he saw me conversing with some of the professors and other students, and he asked me a question that has intrigued me ever since. He says, "Hey, Dad, you ever thought about being a professor?" And I tell you, I hadn't, but I tell you, I am now. and I believe having the mentorship that I have with this program, that I'll actually be able to do this thing. So I want to say thank you for everything you've done to make this a reality in my life.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
So I want to thank the board and the Chancellor's office for your continued support. You've been a champion and a partner with us. We couldn't even reach our students the way we have at this capacity without your support, and it's pretty phenomenal, and I hope to continue the relationship. I want to have a special thanks to Board Member Shaw, who not only has come and attended our event, but she's shown great interest in our students, and she's the first to commit to our new scholarship program. It will be called the Lee Shaw Jr. Memorial Scholarship Fund, and that will be dedicated to an African-American male with a 2.0 GPA who shows great focus in improving his life circumstances, and her commitment is for the next 4 years. So that'll be 4 different students who will get to benefit from a $2,500 scholarship, and so that's pretty significant. $10,000 total, but $2,500 each year. And we're really appreciative of that. And also, too, I want to thank Board Member Haynes for her continued support and attendance at events around the state. I can't say enough about Vice Chancellor Walker. She's quite responsive and very supportive. And as we're saying thank yous, I might as well thank our grant monitor, Debbie Velasquez. I have tons and tons of questions and anxiety, and she handles my questions with great patience, and she answers in the direction that we love. And so it seems to be a great relationship that we're building. And I also want to thank the new chancellor, because he just got here, and we had a kind of administrative delay and kind of a hiccup in some of our research, and without delay, he stepped in and is presenting us with a resolution. And so I just look forward to building that relationship, and I can't say enough about the historical institutional knowledge and the relationship with Deputy Chancellor Skinner. Thank you so much for being there for Umoja and the continued support. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay, do we have any comments or questions from any members of the board? Member Belansky.
I just want to say thank you that you came here today and provided this amount of information and brought 2 students to share their experience, because I think that's critical. I'm a faculty member at Berkeley City. We just started Umoja this year at Berkeley City. Aline Hamilton-Young, Hagler. And I'm glad to hear that there's as many new colleges coming into place next year. You need to continue to do what you're doing, and that's get the word out, and especially that sheet of the success rates. That's critical, that it's providing that kind of strength to students to succeed. Thank you. Thank you.
Board Member Haynes and Board Member Shaw.
So I want to thank you for your presentation. Just one is an observation, and that is I'm really glad that you're working on the data piece, because that's just so critical, so that we know the levels of our success and then where we need to go. And then just want to give a shout out to the student who is at CRC. I'm a trustee at Los Rios, and so I'm always glad to see family come and present themselves. And I also want to thank you for your service in the military.
That's not.
Thank you. Board Member Shaw.
I want to thank them for coming, and thank them, for all of them, for what they're doing. I had the opportunity last year and this year to go to the conference, and I went to Oakland last year, and we were in LA this past year, and if you attend, if any of the board members have an opportunity to just attend some of these workshops and hear the voices and to understand the lives of so many of these students, how they've really come from nothing and they've risen into to heights. It's just heartwarming and heartbreaking and heartwarming. And so this is a very, very important organization that's impacting thousands of lives and, thousands of families. And so I just want to thank each and every one of them, Tom and Mrs. Asagai and everybody who's involved, the foundation leaders. I don't know if you want to introduce the other people who might be here.
Okay.
And I also want to thank Pam Walker, Chancellor Pam Walker. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I think we had Board Member Belansky. You want to make one last comment?
Yes, I think that the president of their board of directors is here and want to do a shout out because I haven't seen her in a long time to Dr. Teresa Aldridge.
Thank you so much to the board. On behalf of our board, the Emoji Community Education Foundation, thank you so much again. I think you've heard all of the many acknowledgments already. Fellow articulation officer from years ago, so thank you so much, Joseph. Thank you again.
All right, thank you very much. Great. Okay, we are in our final item, which is a public forum. I believe we have two speakers. Vice President Epstein.
Linda Sneed and Courtney Cooper.
No.
And each speaker will have 3 members, 3 minutes to speak, sorry. Okay. Go ahead, Courtney.
Hello. First off, welcome. So good to be here for this meeting. Update on the Student Senate. The MOU, we were originally planning to have it presented on this agenda. It's been delayed to the next agenda. Part of that just due to trying to perform our due diligence to the students and any concerns still with the draft. We did settle on our legislative priorities for this year, which include mental health, support for undocumented students, foster youth and homeless students, veterans, students, advisor fees, and increasing financial aid for students. I know that just from our board, while we do have a high turnover rate sometimes for our directors, at least 3 of them, the reason for the resignation has been personal mental health problems. So if that doesn't tell you, if your own student leaders are so in such distress, how much of a need that is for mental health services and increasing funding on campuses, it's one of the reasons why it will be one of our top priorities. We're also advertising now. We're trying to get more applicants in for the Board of Governors so that our next group that comes in. So we've pushed that out through the listserv several times. We're hoping that we can get support as well through the campuses. We also are still taking applications for our strategic plan ad hoc, which will determine our next year and 5-year plan for the Student Senate as we transition over fully into our own independent entity. And that includes not only board members, but also student trustees and presidents of their own student governments. So we look forward to that. Looking into pathways, making sure that that's promoted among students and understanding what opportunities are available to them as well as to the schools in general. It was really great to be here and present for the Umoja presentation. My school is having their first cohort go through, and it is immensely important that we have these systems in place. What the student mentioned, love is one of the aspects, and feeling welcome. It's hard to figure out, how do you institutionalize something like that? How do you help a student get to the next pathway if you don't have a family, if you don't have a base, if you don't have a pathway? So I believe that programs like Umoja and Punte, they really do a great job of implementing that community, implementing that love, and letting them know that if they aren't present at the table, if they aren't present at the classroom, they are missed. So looking forward greatly to working with you all through this year, and yeah.
Thank you very much. Linda Steed.
Hello, I'm Linda Sneed. I am also affiliated with Cosumnes River College, CRC. I see some of my Los Rios family members in the room. I'm actually here, I love the Umoja program, but that's not what I'm here to speak about. I am entering my 16th year as a part-time English instructor at Cosumnes River College. So I'm speaking to you as a community college faculty member here in Sacramento, but also as a vice president, one of a couple of handfuls worth of vice presidents of the California Federation of Teachers. And I have a written statement. I know I only have a few minutes, so I gave copies. I'm not sure if you have them in front of you, but you will have them. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to read this in the interest of efficiency. It's with great joy that the California Federation of Teachers, CFT, representing 25,000 community college faculty in California, received the news Friday that the ACCJC had fully reaccredited City College of San Francisco for 7 years. We extend our gratitude to the Board of Governors and former Chancellor Bryce Harris for the constructive role you and he played in the last couple of years in helping to make this long-awaited moment possible. Among the actions you have taken were changing a regulation that had given ACCJC sole accrediting power in California and instead opened the door to another accreditor. You accepted the report of the Chancellor's Task Force on Accreditation, which concluded that California's students and all community college stakeholders would be best served by moving to a new accreditor. And you coordinated with the CEO work groups in efforts to construct a more fair accreditation system while exploring the most expedient avenues to another accreditor. As the board knows, CCSF should never have been put in this position in the first place. ACCJC's misguided and arrogant actions distorted the accreditation review in San Francisco, as it has throughout the state at many colleges for many years now. Along with the continued disaccreditation of Compton, City College was but the most egregious of ACCJC's overreaching, unfair, and illegal activities. City College's accreditation crisis has been resolved, and with Chancellor Oakley and staff now in place, the CFT looks forward to a productive conversation with the Board of Governors to discuss the next steps for accreditation in California. The reform of a broken accreditation system has been uppermost in stakeholders' minds ever since spring of 2013, when the CFT, together with AFT 2121, filed a third-party complaint with the U.S. Department of Education over ACCJC's actions. This was but the first of many actions taken by CFT and its allies that brought close scrutiny to this particular ACCJC decision, but more broadly to the culture of secrecy and arrogance that had sent the Commission down the wrong path. It took lawsuits, legislation, presentations before NACICI in Washington, D.C., and a state audit before the Chancellor's Task Force and Board of Governors' actions to arrive at Friday's announcement. So we just want to, all of CFT want you to know how much we appreciate the seriousness with which you take this and how seriously we take the well-being of students and everyone involved in the community colleges with respect to accreditation.
Thank you, Ms. Sneed. Thank you. We've come to the end of our meeting. I believe we have one board member with an announcement. Member Sumner.
Sorry. This is from Kimberly Creteos regarding the Veteran Summit that's coming up. It's the 6th Annual Veteran Summit. It's March 9th through the 10th. It's here in Sacramento. The early bird registration ends January 31st. You can go on veteransummit.org. But I really encourage not only veterans, but teachers, city, communities. Just, it's a really great opportunity to meet veterans. And since the board here is really trying to help with the veterans as we move forward, it would be a great opportunity to maybe do some networking, doing some sidebar and talking and stuff to come up with a good strategic plan. So I plan on attending, and I just encourage all veterans and community members and teachers and presidents to show up. So please, because it's very arduous sometimes, especially when they're doing documentation and trying to give veterans credit. So the more communication we can do together and collaboration, we can bring all the students in. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Sumner. We are adjourned.